All right, well, we haven't forgotten about you guys over here on the Watson team, so let's switch the conversation to that. Go ahead, thank you. All right, so you guys had the Watson Developer Challenge recently. What are some of the things you saw that really surprised you about some of the entries that you received?
Yeah, I think what was kind of the most surprising to me is just the response and the variety of response and just the global response that we got. In kind of 8 short weeks, we had almost 100,000 people visit. We had I think about 400 really well thought out applications ideas that would leverage Watson, and they came from all over the world. There was like about 40 countries, about almost 20 industries. And it was in many ways inspiring, right? So how can you take the best farmer, and take that expert farmer and scale it to the world, so people don't have to worry about going hungry, right? Mm-hmm. Or how can you take the best HR person who can really understand who you are and the type of job that would be fulfilling for you, and scale that across and make that available. And so we saw these 5 incredible ideas yesterday on stage, but what that didn't capture is kind of the other 395 other great ideas about how to leverage Watson. And I think that's why Mike often leaves the stage and why we often say, what will you do with Watson? Because this shift to cognitive and this transformation isn't something that we can do alone, but really requires kind of the world to think about.
You have anything to add? If not, we can move on. No. So, I think looking back on the creation and the formation of something like the internet, we have a lot of ideas about what we could have done differently, what we could have changed. When we're looking back on the development of Watson, what do you think we'll say, or what do you think we can do now to kind of prevent future issues or future surprises?
Oh, that's a crystal ball question, and I don't have a great one, but I do remember the birth of the internet, so I'm dating myself. Half of you don't.
Al Gore created?
I don't know. I don't recall that, but make sure I don't get the feedback.
Yeah.
I think that right now we are, and it's really cool, we all are right now at the birth of this new era when we talk about cognitive computing.
It's weird, you're not even that close to the speaker. That's better. Okay.
Yeah, it's timbre of the voice and that kind of stuff. So remember now what you're experiencing here, the new normal, the Internet of Things, this flashpoint of all these changes that we're experiencing. And 10 years from now, we're going to look back, just like we now can look back on the Internet and say, wow, that's really what was going on. Because it is going to change. Right now, we're seeing really 3 things happening that are fundamentally different that create this flashpoint for a new era. It's cloud, dynamic infrastructures, smart infrastructures. They're responsive to the situation, all the way down to the Internet of Things devices being responsive, all the way to the back-end elastic storage. Everything is getting aware and responsive on the infrastructure side. So that's one leg of the stool. Another leg of the stool is the floods of data that we're dealing with. We can no longer deal with them as isolated pools of information. Our new normal is we've got rivers of information. It's flowing past us all the time, and all we can do is put nets into it and filter it, right? That's the reality of our environment. And along with that, our development is changing to keep pace with all that. So we have to completely retool how we approach development, which is why we're here, right? DevOps, Bluemix. Those 3 legs of the stool are creating a brand new era. Now, what's an era? If you go back 20 years ago, the conversations people had about the internet, gee, why do I want this thing that'll read documents on your server? Why do I care? What's that going to change? What's the big deal? Well, if you go forward, everything did change fundamentally. Our business models changed. Brick and mortar organizations went away. There are companies that look back now to the beginning of the internet, and they regret what they didn't do. And some other companies that look back and say, oh boy, it's a good thing we put TCP/IP everywhere, and we got aggressive about adopting browsers and doing e-commerce. So my suggestion to everyone here is, take it back to your colleagues and friends and family and say, well, the new era is here. Everything is dynamic development, dynamic data that can talk about itself, and dynamic infrastructures. So what are we going to do differently? Should we lag behind and say, oh, that's not happening? Or should we embrace it and really get prepared with changing our culture so we develop for this, and changing how we consume, because it is going to change around us. So that's how I'd say, it's exciting. We're at a new era.
So you mentioned the new normal. How does Watson fit into that?
Well, Watson is a leading example of that third leg of the stool. Data. We've all seen knowledge bases. We've all made knowledge bases that get bigger and bigger, more good gold. You put gold nuggets in the data in the knowledge base, and the bigger it gets, the harder it is to use. And we use keyword search to try and find the good stuff in there. Only gets us so far. And then we start to rely on the experts, the people who know what's in the knowledge base, and then they leave. They go away for some reason. They leave the company, and then the knowledge base collapses, whether it's an internet forum or a notes team room or whatever. People stop using it because it's too hard to get the information that's hidden inside of the other information. Watson's a reaction to that phenomenon and the phenomenon of all this content changing so rapidly around us. It's doubling and tripling and quadrupling in size as we speak. In this world, we're all reacting to the need of the content to tell us what's in it, instead of us going and manually searching through it. So content is getting intelligent just like infrastructure is getting intelligent. Watson's an example of cognitive technology. There will be many other examples, branded Watson, branded other things, done by, great point, we can't do it alone. This is the reason why we're doing an ecosystem play. We need all of your smarts, all of the creative geniuses that are part of our overall IBM and industry development ecosystem. The internet took off when everybody started to team together over a really grand idea. We have a new grand idea here. It's called cognitive computing. And we're going to put a platform out there that can help stimulate the grand idea, but it goes nowhere unless we all try to work together and make some cognitive applications so that the data talks about itself and is responsive to the situation. So that's what I can easily talk a lot more about that.
Or I have a different question for you too.
Yeah, I could add to some of that. Or
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that's really impressive to me is, of course, its ability to understand the question, understand the user's intent, and provide an answer based on from a massive corpus and get you what you're looking for. And that's truly impressive to me. And not only that, but the ability for it to understand your user preferences based on your digital footprint and to potentially make suggestions to you. And there's a lot of power there. And it's new. There's nothing like it out there. And that really strikes me as quite impressive.
So I understand why you guys here at IBM are excited about Watson, obviously, especially from a developer perspective. But why should an average consumer care about what you guys are doing with Watson? Aside, we may be familiar with Watson through Jeopardy or through other things that we've heard of like that. But why should someone like me, for example, be excited?
I could probably take that one. So I recently joined the Watson team. I'm actually working on cognitive cooking, and I think that's truly accessible.
That's not interesting to me. I'm a terrible cook. No, that's not.
Well,
Sorry.
This could help you become a better cook, right? So at South by Southwest in Austin back in April, we had a food truck there, and Watson was coming up with recipes, just given ingredients or cuisines, and coming up with a truly unique and novel recipe, something that's never been done before. And we had a chef in the food truck cooking these things up, and we're creating some really, really cool stuff, some really strange stuff, but it tasted quite good. We had I believe a Bengali butternut squash barbecue sauce, a Bengali butternut squash barbecue sauce. So generally you're thinking mustard based or vinegar based, and here it is, a squash based, and yet it tastes quite good.
All right, barbecue is appealing to me. All right, I like that answer. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think to your point, right? It allows us to extend what we're able to do today. If you look at how much information is out there, it's innavigable. You can't actually get through it, and what Watson allows you to do is get through that. You capture the expertise across kind of any domain. So cooking, right? Capture the expertise of all the best chefs in the world and bring it together so you can access it in seconds. Or it could be fitness, or it could be kind of any domain you can think about that you're tapping into in your daily lives today. And bringing that to your fingertips, which is enormously powerful.
I think that's actually really what ties together Watson and Internet of Things in many ways.
Thank you. That was. I wanted to point out that as all these things are connected and getting all this information, and then we're all typing more information. The thing that matters to all of us is we're all struggling to find the information that's needed to make a decision. Watson is a buddy. It's going to be the type of technology that helps you make your decisions quickly, because you can get the knowledge you need that relates to what you're trying to do, whether it's pick a good restaurant or cook a new meal or get great film recommendations, talk to him about film recommendations. There's all sorts of things that we want to make the decision fast, but all of that flood of information is in the way of finding the pieces that relate to our situation.
All right, and on that note, I think that about wraps up our Pit Crew Meetup. Thank you guys so much for joining us and for hanging out here with our experts. Feel free to, grab a cookie. I think they're still out there, and mingle with the experts, ask them your questions, and get out there and innovate. We've had a great week. I really appreciate you guys coming by and chatting. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Great job.